Shalom, Makim. We give all praise to Yahweh Shemi Awashai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and shalom to the elect. Pushing this word throughout the four corners of the globe in sincerity and charity for the building of the Akim, the building of the house of David, Yasha Allah. But we say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemi Awashai. Just want to come out, just gonna come straight up. Maccabees, which means hammer, or in the English, Maccabees, so-called English, Maccabees, Maccabees, means hammer. We in that season, coming up on that season of what the world called Hanukkah, Chanukah, and the Maccabees story found in the book of Maccabees in the Apocrypha, in the first chapter, the first Maccabees, the book. We talk about this wicked king Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, how he had profaned and desolated the temple, and because he profaned and desolated the temple, a family called the Maccabees, and I have the chart of the Maccabee family. Mattathias being the father, and he had 5 sons, John, Simon, Judas, Eleazar, and Jonathan. And you can see on the screen that this chart shows that the Maccabees line throughout in history, and we honored them. We honored them because they're written in the Bible. They're written in the Apocrypha, which talks about the history of the Maccabees and what had happened. So we're going to get right to it. This is Maccabees, the Maccabees. Profaning the Sabbaths, feasts, and worship. This is the first Maccabees 1:54. I'm going to read down. It says, "Now the 15th day of the month of Keslu, in the 145th year, they set up an abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side." Now the abomination of desolation is when they desecrated the temple, its altar, by profaning it with the sacrificing of unclean animals, especially the swine. They built up altars throughout the cities that were to their pagan gods. Antiochus IV decreed this throughout the land, that he was in control, and he made this happen. Where if you would read up in the book, into the chapter, talked about how you had to forsake your laws and follow the Greek customs. The Greek customs was pagan. They were pagan customs which Israel knew not to follow. But because of tyranny, because of persecution, some of Israel, profane the Sabbaths, profane their bodies, profane the temple, and follow Greek customs. This is where you get the Gentiles in the New Testament. You get the Gentiles by the Israelites being foreign to their own customs because of persecution, just like it is today. That's why Israel, the Latinos, Negroes, and so-called Native Americans, they're still Gentiles in their mind, in their spirit, in their ways of life. This is how you profane the Sabbath. This is how you profane your God. This is how you profane your ways. So this is what we read in the Maccabees, and I'm going to continue on. It says, verse 55, it says, and burnt incense at the door of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they have found, they burnt them with fire. See, this is why you know Esau don't believe in the Bible. He never have and he never will. Because, as you can see, he rent it in pieces. He tore the books, the scrolls, into pieces and burned them. This is why you don't have no original manuscripts. This is why everything had to be rewritten for Israel because of this. This is what happened to our temple. It was desecrated, it was destroyed, and it had to be built back up because Esau, led by Antiochus Epiphanes, desecrated the temple. The month of Caslu is the 10th month, right? We get ready to go into the 10th month. This is the 9th month we're in. We get ready to go into the 10th month, so this is the month of Caslu. Well, we're in the 10th month. Salakia, we're in the 10th month. And let me take that out. Salakia. Let me go back just to be sure. The month of Caslu, according to Wikipedia, it says the 3rd month of the civil year and the 9th month of the Hebrew calendar. So we're in the 9th month, the month of Caslu. And let's look at Hanukkah, or what they call Hanukkah. Hanukkah, it says, starting on the 25th day of Caslu of the Hebrew calendar. And we get ready to come up on it next week. We honor the Caslu on the 12th, Sunday at sundown, the 12th of November 2017. This is when we celebrate it, or honor it, or observe it, known as the Festival of Lights or the Feast of Dedication. This is the rededication of the Second Temple by the Maccabees. So we're going to continue reading. It says, and whosoever was found with the book of the Testament, when anybody was found with the Bible, or if they had committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. Now, following the commandments, following your ways and your culture was a sentence of death. This is why Israel, the faithless, did not follow the laws of the Bible. This is why they followed Greekish customs and spoke Greek and thought Greek and worshiped their gods. It says, now the 5th and the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Circumcision is part of our culture. It's part of the law. On the 8th day, your male child should be sacrificed. They put women to death for doing this. They put women to death for following the law. You see? It says, and they hang the infants about their necks, killed children. Talk about they love, they love. They don't love. They put our children to death, and this is not the first time in history. You can remember Pharaoh did that to the children 2 years and under. This is at the time of Antiochus. Then again, it happened at the time of Herod, when he put when Yahushua was born, who the world called Jesus. When Yahushua was born, Herod made a decree to put every male child 2 and under to death. So this is not the first time they've done to our children, and constantly, even today with the abortions. You see? It says, and they hanged the infants about their neck and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. So they went through the house, rifle, in other words, to rape or to pillage, right? To take by force, right? And it says, howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any clean thing, wherefore the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was very great wrath upon Israel, according to the king's decree. It was a very great slaughter at this time. But as you can see, Israel's worship and practices were forbidden by Antiochus. You see, he made possession of the Torah a capital offense and burned the copies they found. Sabbaths and feasts were banned. Circumcision was outlawed, and mothers who circumcised their babies were killed with their families. Our sacrifices were forbidden, and the idol of Zeus was placed at the altar of the temple and throughout the cities of Judah or Jerusalem. And Israelites set up altars to these Greek gods and sacrificed unclean meats and animals to them. This is what Israel had did. You see? We're going to go to Maccabees, 1 Maccabees, 2nd chapter, starting at 7. It says, well, let's start at 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, son of Simon the priest, and the son of Joarib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons: Jonathan, who was called Cadus, Simon called Thasi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apphus. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this mystery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and a sanctuary into the hand of strangers? Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. This is what happened to Israel. Total desolation. What nation has not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All of her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bondslave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. Talking about the Gentiles could be saved. The only Gentiles could be saved is Israelite foreigners. Those are the Gentiles Paul went to, the Israelites. And he spoke in the synagogues daily. To who? The Gentiles, who are Israelite foreigners, not the other nations. The other nations profaned us, made us desolate, took our glory away. It says, verse 13, to what end therefore shall we live any longer? This is what is being said, man. What we have to live for. What we have to live for, looking at our people this way. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came to the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and honorable and great man in this city, and strengthening with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first, and to fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain in Jerusalem, so shall thou and thy house be as numbered of the king's friends. So he's trying to persuade Mattathias to do the same thing as all the other Israelites was doing, bowing down. And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. This is what they're doing now, trying to reward us with fake gold and tangible and fiat currency. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want your reparations. We want your blood. God requires it. Who the world called God. Yahweh Shem Yahushua requires the blood of the ones who destroyed the apple of his eye, Israel. Then Mattathias answered and spake, this is what all Israel should be saying. Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. Yahweh forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We would not hearken to the king's word, to go out from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. We would not hearken to the king's words. Of Salat. Verse 23. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all the sacrifices on the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandments. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbid to show his anger according to the judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew upon the altar, and slew him upon the altar, sliced him down, as he's supposed to. Oh, turncoat. This is what's going to happen to two-thirds. Two-thirds going to get it first for being traitors. Everyone's going to get it. This is the spirit we're supposed to be. This is the time of the Maccabean Spirit right now. You see what's happening. You see what they coming with. It's going to come. Brothers are already talking about it. They're already talking about getting it in, so to speak. It's going to come a time, man. They're approaching the camps. They're getting violent. You see what they're doing throughout the country, shooting up churches. All this is the sorrowful days, man. This is the beginning of the end. We seeing it. We living in it right now. You see? So it says, verse 24, which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbid to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew he slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Thus dealt the zealously for the Lord of the Most High, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri and the sons of Solomon. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous in the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. And you follow Mattathias' spirit, you follow Yahweh Shem Yahushua's spirit. Because Yahweh Shem Yahushua's spirit he's a man of war. They are men of war. So this is what you do when you go against the power, the great power, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You're going to be cut down and slain. This is ordained by the Heavenly Father. This is ordained by Yahweh Shem Yahushua, who the world calls God and Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus. This is the spirit we're supposed to be living in. This is the spirit, put this into your mind. Put this into your memory. Remember this. Remember what we went through then. and what we're going through now, and live accordingly. You see? Not allowing these fools to just do any old thing to us. In the spirit, we're not talking about advocating violence, but we're talking about defending ourselves. We're not advocating violence. We're advocating defending ourselves. So, in that time of need, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be the Maccabees. We're going to be that hammer in that time. Mattathias killed a Hellenistic Jew. This was a Hellenistic Jew who stepped forward to offer a sacrifice to an idol in Mattathias' place. He and his 5 sons fled into the wilderness of Judah after Mattathias' death about 1 year later in 166 BCE. It says his son Judas Maccabee led an army of Israelite descendants to victory over the Seleucid dynasty in guerrilla warfare, so-called guerrilla warfare, which at first was directed against Hellenizing Jews, of whom there were many. The Maccabees destroyed pagan altars in the villages, circumcised boys, and forced Israelites into outlawry. They were just straight up outlaws. The term Maccabee is used to describe the Israelite army is taken from the Hebrew word hammer, which was Maccabees. This is the hammer. Khan. Just a brief introduction, or brief synopsis of the time we're living in, the month of Caslu, the Maccabeans, and what had happened during the history of profaning our Sabbaths, profaning our feasts and our worship and our temple. And later on, we're going to discuss the rededication of that temple. And this is what the Feast of Hanukkah is when we get into it, when we get more into this Maccabees. Okay? So with that, I hope this was edifying. We say, Kal Halal Yahweh Shem Shai, all praise to Yahweh Shem Shai. Say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and shalom to the elect. It's pushing this word throughout the 4 corners of the globe. Stay in the Maccabean Spirit. Shalom.